The next thing that I want to show you is Affordability Hub. So to access Affordability Hub, we go in via the Criteria Hub dashboard. So you can see here in the left-hand column, I've got this red box which says Affordability Hub, and I'm just going to click on that, and that will take us through to the Affordability Hub platform. So the first screen that you'll come to with Affordability Hub is, again, the Affordability Hub dashboard. From here, you can start a new search. You can view all of your searches. There's also live webinar training if you need to. And also there's a roadmap. So this roadmap is based on feedback that we've received from brokers, such as yourself. And this is just to demonstrate that we do listen to that feedback that's coming in. So some of the items that we're going to be adding into Criteria Hub: buy-to-let sourcing. So currently Affordability Hub is only available to residential. However, we will be very shortly, because it's been asked for, be putting in buy-to-let sourcing. We're also enhancing some of the questions, and also special schemes. So things such as shared ownership, right to buy, help to buy. We're going to be bringing those questions into the system. Now, we don't currently ask those questions, so we do handle those in a certain way. Again, I'll explain how that's handled shortly. And then as we come down, this section here, that gives you a list of all of your most recent searches. So you can see there on Alice, I've run lots and lots of different searches for her. So I've got various different searches and scenarios that I can build. Again, I'll show you how that works in a moment. But for now, I'm going to press on, let's start a new search. So here we are. This is the first page that we come to when we start a new search. This is the data capture form. The questions that are asked on this form are not a great deal more than you'll be asked in quite a lot of the lender's own affordability calculators. The difference, of course, being I'm going to complete this one form, and then I'm going to be submitting that information from one form to about 27 new lenders. So the first bit of information that I have to input is a search reference. So that's for me to be able to come back to a case at a later date. So I'm just going to put in my search reference as Sesame 0408. You could also see that I've got a required marker there, which again tells me that that's information that I absolutely have to put. That's a mandatory required field. So as we come down, we're going to look at a bit of information about the loan. So whether it's a purchase or a remortgage. So all I need to do is just tick on the box. You can see it highlights. And in the case of a remortgage, it actually opens up another couple of fields as well. So I'm going to be doing a remortgage, but I'm also going to be doing debt consolidation. So again, just tick on the yes. Great, that's highlighted. Can select my repayment method. In this instance, it will be capital and interest. Then I put in my purchase price or property valuation. In this instance, I'm going to say that the purchase price is 200,000. I'm going to be looking at a term of 23 years, like so, and I'm going to be borrowing 170,000, and that's on capital and interest there. Okay. As we come down the form, you can see there that we've got a couple of other options now. We'll consider fixed rate of 5 years or more, yes or no, so highlight that. And of course, different lenders will give you an enhanced lending amount if you do take a product which is fixed for 5 years or more, hence asking that question. Also, certain lenders might ask for a specific interest rate. So we've got a slide rule there, which allows you to choose a specific interest rate, and you can see the value there. Okay, as we then come down, capture a little bit of information about the property. So whether it's a house, bungalow, flat, maisonette. Now, this is really important. You do need to put in a property postcode. So a lot of people ask, well, what if I don't know the property postcode if it's a purchase, for example? And what I always suggest here is that you put in a postcode that's within the area that somebody's looking. It doesn't have to be, you know, the actual postcode, but as long as it's a postcode based on the address that we're looking at, based on the area that we're looking at. And I'm going to show you why in a couple of different ways that's important. So firstly, I'm going to put in a property postcode of B1, 1AB, and the system knows that that property is in England. If I make that a BT 1AB postcode, you'll see that it knows it's in Northern Ireland. So the system's already doing some slight checks for you based on the criteria that you're putting in. I'm going to revert that back, however, to an English postcode. There we go. So then we capture details about the applicants. Applicant 1, applicant 2. I'm just going to do a single applicant in this example. And we put in the date of birth like so. Planned retirement age, it's defaulted at 70, but I'm just going to bump that up to 75, and I'll show you why again shortly. We can also capture whether the applicant's retired. We can also capture dependents. So I'm going to leave this section blank for now, but I'll show you why in a bit. So we then come to input the client's incomes. So unlike traditional product sourcing, within Affordability Hub, we're able to build up a real picture portfolio of different incomes, complex incomes. It doesn't just have to be one figure lumped in. So the example I'm going to give is employed income. So I just highlight employed income, and you can see there, that's given me an additional box then to drop down. Okay, I'm also going to be adding in benefit income as well, and you can see I get that other box. Now we can also capture self-employed income, whether it be sole trader, partnership, and also we can capture self-employed limited company director, which will ask for things like percentage shareholding of the company, dividends, director's salary, all of those kind of things the system will ask you for. Once I've run through this example, I am going to give you a little bit of a demo as well of how the self-employed criteria works for a couple of different lenders, because again, not all lenders treat self-employed income the same. So I'll show you a little bit more about that later on. So if we come to employed income, I'm going to put in a basic salary of 51,000, and I'm going to put in my child benefit income of £250 a month. I can also add in all sorts of other information as well. So in the employed income section, I could add in monthly bonuses, annual bonuses, monthly commission, whether they're guaranteed or non-guaranteed. I can do all of that. And likewise in the benefit income, I can also add in any other allowances as well, attendance allowance, carers allowance, all of that kind of information. Okay. Then we come on to the debts. So I can add in information about credit card debts, overdraft, unsecured loans, all of that kind of thing. But in this example, I'm just going to be putting in 10,000 current credit card balance, but with the additional 10,000 that I'm raising, I will be paying off that credit card. And again, different lenders treat that differently, which I will show you shortly. We then come to expenditure. Now, at the moment, you do complete this manually. We are hopefully going to be bringing in ONS data to pre-populate this, but that's where the property postcode actually becomes really important, because ONS figures are regional. So if you put in the incorrect postcode, certain lenders' affordability calculators on their website use the property postcode to determine what the ONS data figures are for these certain expenditure items. So linking that back, that is why capturing the postcode is also incredibly important. Okay. Now, once I've completed my expenditure items, there are other expenditure items as well. So such as property related, ground rent, service charges, and household bits and bobs there as well. So such as school fees, childcare, all of that information. You might also remember on the roadmap that I mentioned there will be improvements to questions. So what we are looking to do is the property related expenses, we will be moving those up so that they're against the property tab information. So that is all contained in one place there for you. Again, that's stuff that's been fed back by brokers. So now I've completed the form, and you can see that hasn't taken me very long to do at all. I'm now ready to select my lenders. So I click on next, and that should take me through to the screen to select my lenders, but it doesn't. The reason why it doesn't is because the system has done a check on the information I've put in. So I tried adding child benefit income, but I didn't add a dependent. So the system requires at least one dependent age 15 and under. So also applicants may not include child benefit income where any applicant is greater than 50,000. So the system knows that. So it's doing these checks for you to ensure that the information that you are putting in is correct. So I'm going to add a dependent, and that dependent is now 14 years old. And I'm also going to change my employed income, and I'm going to reduce that down to 42,000, like so. And then when I click on next, that should then remove the form errors, and there you go, we're ready to select our lenders now. So in this example, I'm going to select all lenders, like so. So that's going to run an affordability calculation on all the lenders that I have available, and you can see that most of the big players are there. So I've got Barclays, I've got HSBC, Halifax, NatWest, Nationwide, Santander, Virgin, TSB, but I've also got some of those smaller, more provincial building societies as well, such as the Stafford Railway, Teachers, Newbury. Again, these are lenders which you may not have previously used, but again, Affordability Hub, Criteria Hub, they're giving you access and visibility of these kind of lenders. Okay, so now I'm going to do select my lenders, and they've said that I'm good to go. But actually, I've got some soft exceptions down here. And so the system again has done another criteria check. So I look at Santander, for example, and it tells you that they only allow 85% LTV for remortgage applicants with capital raising and or debt consolidation. So obviously where you could run into an issue there is if you tried to add fees, which would take over that 85% LTV. Okay, now likewise with the Nationwide, you remember I set my date of birth, sorry, my retirement age to 75. The system knows that the retirement age for Nationwide must be between 18 and 70. So I can check that if needs be and amend that figure. And I'm going to do that because I'm going to show you how quick it is and easy to get back to that data input screen. I literally just click on applicant details and it takes me there. Like so, nice and simple. Okay, so there we go. Let's just change that retirement age back to 70. Excellent. And you'll see now when it does its criteria check against all my lenders, you will see that Nationwide is now good to go. Brilliant. So when I click on next, it then takes me to the calculate screen, which I'm going to do. Okay, so I can click up there or down the bottom. And what's the system's now doing? It's taking all of that information that I've input into that one form. It's seeing all the rules of each different lender's calculator. So all of these different lenders, it's now taking the information I've put and it's pre-populating all of their different lender calculators. Okay. So what it's also doing, it's doing a bit of a check on the product criteria. So we're looking at an 85% LTV mortgage here at the moment. So because it's Affordability Hub is also linked to Mortgage Brain sourcing, it's also doing that product check for you as well. And I'll see how, and I'll show you how that works shortly for you. So as the results come through, they're then displayed in this list here. Okay, so I can see all of my different lenders. The green bar, that's how much I wanted to borrow. So if you can remember, I wanted to borrow 170,000. So great, these lenders will lend me that 170. But based on the information that I've put in, the LTI, which is the loan to income for TSB in this example, is £208,050. So it's slightly more than I actually wanted to borrow. Okay. And as you come down, obviously the borrowing amount reduces. And then as we come down the bottom there, Barclays, they're saying that no, they wouldn't lend the amount that I wanted to borrow. Okay. So the first set of results we come down to here, they're the affordable results. Brilliant. So you can see there, I've got TSB, they've got products, that's great. They'll lend me what I want. One of the lenders that did come back though was NatWest. Now, NatWest, they're not in this list. They're actually in a list down here. They're in the lenders that have been excluded from the results. They're not actually excluded, but it shows you here the reason why they're in this section. And it's because there are no products. So at the moment, NatWest don't have products at 85% loan to value. Now, Affordability Hub, in conjunction with Mortgage Brain product sourcing, have shown you that. They've given you that information there. They've told you it's affordable, but there are no products available at 85%. I've put in my 85% loan to value, my repayment method, my term. All of the information is exactly the same, and it's come back with exactly the same lending amount. But what it hasn't told me is that there are no products available at 200,000 at 85% loan to value, borrowing that 200,200. So already Affordability Hub, with its link to Mortgage Brain sourcing, is giving you a lot more information than the lender's own affordability calculator. Okay, so again, helping you source more accurately and save you time as well, because you might well have gone to NatWest and said, right, okay, brilliant. You've said you're affordable, but there are no products. No point. So going back to Affordability Hub itself, the other thing is we've got this full info button here. What that's going to show us, that's going to show us the next LTV level. So if I was to pay an extra 10,000 or not remortgage my additional borrowing and go down to 80%, that shows me the next LTV level that I would need to get products from NatWest, for example. Okay, but also it shows me the incomes that were used. So there's my 42,000 basic salary, there's my child benefit, 250 a month, and there are my expenditure items. Okay, now you might remember as well, back on the roadmap, I mentioned shared equity mortgages. We don't currently ask that question, but within the NatWest calculator, for example, they do ask that question, and it's a drop down yes or no. So it's a question that has to be answered. But because we don't ask that question currently, we make an assumption. And the assumption that we make is that it's not a shared equity mortgage, because the majority of cases aren't going to be shared equity. So we assume that the answer is no to that question. And you can see there that very clearly the different assumptions are made. Other questions that we don't ask, monthly lease agreement payments, we don't currently ask that, so we assume it's a no. And likewise with any future changes, that's a mandatory question on the system, so you have to answer yes or no. Again, the majority of people, they don't necessarily know that, so we just assume it's a no. But if you did want to run a calculation with any of those answered slightly differently, there's a link to the lender's affordability calculator directly for you. Okay. Now, the other thing is, in the NatWest calculator, they don't ask as many questions as we do. So what we do, we also give you a list of those fields that were also ignored. So example being the current mortgage balance, they don't ask that. They don't ask debt consolidation. So we ignore those questions. And so we're making that transparent for you as well, so you can see again which questions were answered, which weren't. Now, also, you need to make sure that the information that you've put in to Affordability Hub has gone to the NatWest calculator correctly. So we actually take a screenshot of it, and there it is. So this isn't the standalone NatWest calculator. This is a screenshot that Affordability Hub has taken for your compliance records. And you can see there that it's pre-populated that information exactly as I did on the standalone calculator, and the lending amount is exactly the same. Now, one thing we did mention earlier is that this is a capital raising remortgage, and I put in a credit card balance of 10,000. Now, down here, you'll see that the total credit card balance is displaying as 0 because NatWest, they don't need to see the current balance. However, another lender, and that another lender I'm going to use in the example is Santander. They do ask for the current balance. Now, if we come down to the results screenshot, you'll see it's just the results screen. So it just tells me how much they would lend. But of course, there are 4 different pages to the Santander calculator. So I just need to go to a slightly different section. And that section is back up here, like so. You'll see here, I've got a red button which says View Full Results Breakdown. Now, when I click on that, that's going to open up another tab. And here is that full results breakdown. So again, it shows me the loan amounts that I'll be lent, but also as I come down, you'll see down here a list of all of the lenders, and they're in alphabetical order to make them easy to find. And that's going to give me all of the information that I've input into the system, but it's also going to give me the ability to see all of those other screenshots as well. So we've come down to Santander. Here we go. There's the screenshot. So there's all 4 of them now. And all 4 of those screenshots are going to be available for you to download for 2 months from the day that you did the search. Now, if we come to page 3 and expand that out, there we go, commitments. Credit commitments should be entered even if they'll be repaid before completion. Enter the total monthly payments. Of course, with credit cards, they don't ask for that, but they do ask for the outstanding balance. So you can see there, please enter the total combined outstanding balance, and that's 10,000. So whereas in the NatWest calculator, they don't ask for it, it was a 0. Within the Santander calculator, there you are. There's my 10,000 credit card balance input correctly for you. Okay. And it doesn't just end there. What I'm also able to do, I can now also produce a really cool PDF document which has all of the information from the lender's breakdown and all of the information confirming that I put into Affordability Hub. And here's that document. So you can see here, there's some basic information that we've put in, what we've told us, so purchase price, LTV, term, etc. And as you come down, you can see those lending amounts, and likewise, there you go. There's more information there about the loan, the property, the applicants, etc. All there for you, again, for your compliance file. And that is basically Affordability Hub and how Affordability Hub works for you. Now, if I return back to the dashboard, what you will see, there we go. There's my case that I've just currently done, Sesame 0408, and it gives me some information there. And I can then rerun that search if needs be. Now, I did mention earlier that we're going to talk a little bit as well about self-employed income and how the system knows how lenders will pre-populate the calculators. So I'm going to rerun the case now, and I'm going to change this from an employed case to a self-employed case. So here we go, remove the employed and benefit income. And I'm just going to very quickly show you with self-employed sole trader, we can put in the latest year's net profit, year 2 and year 3. And also likewise with a self-employed limited company director, there are the fields that we can complete. So latest year's salary, dividend, company net profit, and also percentage shareholding. But I'm just going to show you a basic self-employed sole trader. So last year's net profit, I'm going to say, is 50,000, and year 2 net profit, I'm going to say, is 46,000. Now, again, certain lenders do treat this income slightly differently, and I'm going to give you an example on a lender's website. So here we are on the Halifax intermediary website affordability calculator. So when we come to the income section, you can see here that they just ask the question, gross basic salary. They don't make any reference to self-employed income, and also they don't make it obvious that they will take the lower of the last year's accounts or average of the previous 2 years' accounts. There's nowhere on here that says for you to do that. Even in the other income drop down, they don't mention self-employed income. But as we know, you actually put it into the gross basic salary box. So again, I've got to remember, what do I use? Do I use the latest year's accounts, or do I use an average of the last 3, or do I use an average of the last 2? Affordability Hub will do that for you. So I'm going to take this information that I've put in, the 50,000 last year's net profit and 46,000 last year's net profit. And here we go. I'm going to click on next. And I'm just going to select 2 lenders here. I'm just going to select Coventry and I'm going to select Halifax. So the reason why I've selected those 2 is to demonstrate how they will treat it differently. We've already seen how Halifax, or mentioned how Halifax will treat it, but Coventry, they will ignore the year 2. They will just take the latest year's accounts. So I'll show you how that works. So once again, the system is taking the information that I've input, those 2 different years self-employed accounts, and it's going to be populating that information into the Coventry and into the Halifax website, into how they manage self-employed income. So there we go. We've got the results returned now. And I'm just going to take you to the different screenshots. So if we look at Halifax, we look at this screenshot here and we come down to the gross basic income. There we are. So it's worked out that the last year's accounts was, the latest year's accounts was 50,000. The previous year's was 46,000, giving me a total of 96. And it's averaged out that down to 48,000. And the reason why it's used that figure is because that's the lower of the average of the last 2 years' accounts or the latest year's accounts. Okay, so just to demonstrate that there, that's completed that correctly for you. And then if we look at the Coventry Building Society, let's have a look at their results screen. So again, we've only got the affordability calculator result there. What we need to do is go to the full results breakdown, and that will then show us those different screens that will be completed for Coventry. Here we go, like so. And there they are. There's the different result screens for us. Now, if we have a look at this page here, page 3, employment and income details, you can see there gross share and net profits for most recent accounting period is 50,000. So you can see how the system has pre-populated correctly the self-employed income on the Halifax calculator and on the Coventry calculator. And there we go. That's Criteria Hub, Affordability Hub, and the integration of Criteria Hub into product sourcing.